cushion is much better.
We needed it.
Having something behind you. Hello, everybody. Delightful to be with you here today and to introduce you all to Lindsay. So I know we had a brief introduction about Chief, but just to give you all a bit more context, Chief is a network of the most powerful women executives in the US, soon to come internationally. They have 20,000 members. I think from how many different organizations? 8,500?
At this point, many, many thousands.
Many, many thousands. And I think what's most impressive for me is you have 50,000 members in waiting. So like a wait list of 50,000 people, which is a pipeline that I think most people would dream of. I think the other thing to note is that in March, I think you were valued at 1.1 billion. So a unicorn. Only 15% of unicorns are women-led. So,
which is pretty good because women only get 2% of VC funding.
Yeah.
Right? So that's a great.
Yeah. Of course. Always overperforming no matter what the odds are.
Exactly.
Right? So, Lindsay, I think it would be great for the audience to understand what was the inspiration for Chief? How did you decide that the world needed Chief?
Well, thank you for the intro. You know, I think the wait list of 50,000 people speaks to what I was going through a few years ago. I was a VP at my company. I loved it, and I loved that I hit a point where I was mentoring other women. My team had gotten big. I was managing bigger and bigger problems and challenges, and yet I hit an inflection point where I felt really lonely at the top. I looked around, and there was a lot of men, which was great, but didn't necessarily feel like they had the same problems, issues that I was dealing with, on top of wanting to mentor others who were climbing up the ladder. And so my co-founder and I were really inspired by a company called YPO, Young Presidents Organization, and realized we could create a community that was really based in leadership for women business leaders to come together, unite them all, and connect them on a platform, bring them into peer groups, and let those women who are leading mentor each other. So it was a huge turning point for us, and we were really excited that nobody else had really done this, and we knew it was powerful for us, and it was amazing when we launched because immediately we had that wait list growing.
Yeah.
So clearly we struck a chord, and I'm sure there are a lot of women out in this audience who felt that way, who feel like, where are the other women who are at the top that I can talk to about this? So
one of the things you say all the time is like, we're not about empowering women. Women are already powerful.
Yeah.
And not long after I joined Chief, you had Michelle Obama come talk to the Chief members. Most recently, Shonda Rhimes, both for me who are iconic women. What do you think is key to your success? What can attract that kind of woman to talk to Chief and be kind of part of the community that you've built?
Well, I think if you take a step back, what makes Chief really different is that we say we like to cross-pollinate power. And so there are amazing organizations for women, but they're typically verticalized.
Right.
So there's women in marketing, there's women in tech. And so for Chief, we brought women from different sectors, industries, roles together. And what's really special is it's not just about networking. We create core groups. We create peer groups where we hyper-curate the right people together who are at similar seniority, but different experience. So you get it? Like, I get what you're going through, but I can bring the different perspective to help guide that. We bring an executive coach into that peer group, and that group meets monthly, and it's a game change. So first, I think it's the cross-pollination, hyper-curation, so it's not just 20,000 amazing women, but you find your people within this network. I also think what's been really incredible to see is the support of our members' companies. So 70% of Chief members are actually sponsored by their employer. And it's because companies know that they want to be investing in their top talent. They want to be investing in women. And so companies are stepping up and sponsoring individuals, and we also have companies who are sponsoring their entire C-suite, their entire leadership team of women, because they know that what Chief is doing is helping women feel more supported, giving them the that community, that network that they need to strengthen their decisions. Because then they're going to go back when they're mentoring others, and they're going to have time for it. They're going to have the mental space for it.
And also that, I mean, you know, being a member now for over 3 years, we've been living through some pretty interesting times. COVID, Black Lives Matter, George Floyd murder, it was one thing after another. For me, one of the most useful moments is I had a community that I could go to have conversations about those things that I had a lot to learn. And
we all did.
Yeah, I think none of us really knew the way forward, right? And I think it was just a safe place for everybody to get together to talk about what does leadership look like? What are people looking for from us? What are some ideas and thoughts about how we move forward? I mean, so it's been a while. Representation, though, at the top, we've got a very, very, very long way to go.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about what you see. What are the trends that we're now seeing for women in leadership?
Well, one of our core values at Chief is actually time travel, because we found out that it's going to take over 100 years for women to hit parity with men in the workplace. I don't want to wait that long. None of you want to wait that long. So when you look at the numbers, there's some movement, but we still know that globally, only 20% of board seats are held by women.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, 2% of VC, venture capital, goes to women founders. So we have a really long way to go. And I think Chief is helping to move that forward. Because again, it's like putting on your oxygen mask before you help others.
Right.
We can't expect our women leaders to pave the way if we're not giving them the support they need to do so.
Yeah, and it's, you know, there was a McKinsey study that I think came out maybe 2 weeks ago, which is about the kind of workplace and women, and they've been doing it now for like 8 years. And there was something really startling in that report. I mean, the thing that they report on, which is a thing that we know, is that women tend not to get promoted at the same rate as men. Women of color, even more at a disadvantage.
Yep.
So kind of getting on the rung is an issue. For me, what was most alarming is that women in director level, so for every one woman who's promoted into a director level, 2 women are leaving. And so, and you know, and when you kind of dig into why is that, it's for a lot of the things that we talk about at Chief, which is, you know, someone said to me that men chase power, women chase meaning. And we need a workplace where there is kind of more meaning, where when you turn up every day, you can bring your whole self. You can live the kind of values that you want to live. You have a podcast.
And we want to make room for men to chase meaning also.
Yeah, and I think they need to. In fact, they already are. The younger cohorts are saying, hey, I don't want to just work somewhere for a paycheck. I want to work somewhere where I feel like, you know, I can get the most out of who I am myself. I can bring my entire thing to work. Your podcast, though, really addresses, you know, kind of straight on that, like, business has changed. There are new rules out there. Tell me some of the things that you've learned from the people from your podcast that you want to kind of share with the audience about.
Sure. Thanks for plugging our podcast, The New Rules of Business.
The New Rules of Business. It's fantastic.
There are new rules because business is changing. So we've brought on a lot of incredible guests. One of my favorite, Samara Bay, talked about women's voices. So I came up through when I became a VP, and I was told, Lindsay, slow down, lower your voice. Not that I was talking so fast, but...
That didn't work for Elizabeth Holmes. Well, it did, actually, until it didn't.
But Elizabeth Holmes was emulating a voice that is masculine, right? So there's so much that we've been taught as women that isn't really about leadership. It's about the fact that leadership has been impressed upon the ideal, which is often this masculine idea of what a leader looks and sounds like. So I loved that episode. There was another where we talked about, with Eve Rodsky, she talked about multitasking, because women have been told we're better at multitasking. I've been told that. Most women have been told they're better than that. My husband would be like, no, she's not. It's not true. There's nothing that says women are better multitaskers. We've just been told we are.
Yeah.
I think it's a bit of gaslighting
Yeah.
to be told you can do 17 things at once.
And you should.
Guess what? We can't.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah. I mean, Shonda Rhimes, when you were interviewing her, she said something that really stuck with me, which is, in terms of the work-life balance, like for her, that's a myth. There is no such thing as work-life balance for her anyway.
It's work-life chaos for me.
Yeah. Well, as you just flew in today at 10 o'clock and are sitting here looking fabulous after a board meeting yesterday, I think that's probably pretty evident. But she said it's about choices. Mm-hmm. Like, I make a choice. Do I want to go to my daughter's first day at school, or do I need to be at the final episode of, Bridgerton?
But those are the choices that I think women often and caregivers feel differently.
Yeah.
And so your question earlier about what will keep women in the workplace, it is flexibility. It is not always forcing her to make that choice.
Right.
Because we've set up a progressive workplace that understands that you can't be everywhere all of the time. So when we think about, I know in America we think about really great, leave policies. Europe has come a long way, but still, when we think about flex time, how we treat our caregivers, those are huge inputs into keeping women and caregivers in the workplace.
Yeah, and one of the things that I talk about with my folks all the time is, when the kind of whole maternity leave conversation, and how your partners, they also need leave too. This is something we should be doing together, and that you're setting the conditions.
Yes.
For what is then going to follow from then on. If the idea is that the woman should stay at home and take care of the kid for the 3, 6, however many months she can, you're already setting the conditions for what that looks like moving forward.
Implementing parental leave for both, really important.
Yeah.
Thinking through our team has a 4.5-day work week. Nobody's working Friday afternoons anyway. So just take off, use
really?
it, enjoy
You're not working
it.
Friday? I don't believe that. I don't believe you're not
I'm not working Friday afternoons.
But you're working Saturday and
time.
Sunday. I'm joking. So when you set up Chief, when you talk about, I like to think, I'm in the branding business, so I think a lot about this. You were really intentional about the kind of experience you were trying to create in the environment. Obviously, in terms of the program, et cetera, that you put out there, the name itself.
We got a lot of pushback about the name.
Oh, you did?
Oh, yeah. Some of there were investors we talked to when we were raising our first round who were like, Chief, it's like a dude thing, which, why does Chief mean a guy? But I think we really wanted to lean into that because I don't think the opposite of masculine means pink. So if you go to our website, chief.com, it's green, it's bold. We don't actually have pictures of women or pictures of our members on the website because I don't want you as a woman to see and think this is what a woman leader looks like. We've got a lot of copy. The marketing team wants to kill me. We never have enough photos. But I want a woman in business to read, women have always been powerful, and to think, I'm freaking powerful. I can join Chief. I can be a member here, and there's room for me to sit at this table so I can open the door and bring others with me into the boardroom.
Is it Glenda the Good Witch who said you had the power all along, dear? I think it was. I love that. So what's next? You have, on the one hand, 50,000 members in waiting. You have
after today.
More after today.
Yeah.
You've introduced yourself to England, which I'm very happy about.
Yes. We are now in the UK.
You're now in the UK.
We're now welcoming members.
What's next?
So our mission is to change the face of leadership. We started as a membership platform for women executives, typically VP through CEO.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to stop there. It made sense to say, let's start with the leaders. Let's start with people who already have this power. But we have a long journey ahead of us. And when I think about time travel and I think about us kind of squeezing down that amount of time it's going to take for women to hit parity in the office, we have a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
So that means, yes, we're going to the UK, but we're also thinking about what it means to tap into other people who want to change the face of leadership as well.
Yeah, partnering with some of those people. So I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you the story of how you managed to raise the money that you did. Those meetings must have been eye-opening.
Well, our early meetings were the hardest. My co-founder, Carolyn, who is incredible and an operational genius. So this is not somebody who comes to these meetings unprepared. She tells the story that when she was meeting with a lawyer pre-launch, the lawyer was like, I don't think this is a good idea. And she's like, I'm paying you. Like, I'm going to pay you money to rep me. So it was really a struggle. And I know this is common for a lot of women founders that, you know, oftentimes we are betting on what we know.
Yep.
And what a lot of VCs know are known successes that don't necessarily look like two women who are raising money off of a mission-driven idea to change the world.
Yeah.
But it was venture-sized. We made it work. We had an incredible launch. And again, it struck a chord with women who were in these positions who didn't want to just feel alone anymore.
Yeah. I think that's another stat, that 50% of women at the top just feel like they're completely alone.
Yeah.
And it's another reason why I think they choose not to kind of be there anymore. So we're in no, we're not in a recession. We're in uncertain times.
We're not allowed to say the
We're not
R
allowed
word.
to say that. Okay, I didn't say that. We're in uncertain times, and I think the certain thing is that we're going to continue to be in those. We have been for the last 3.5, 4 years. What impact do you think that might have on Chief's trajectory?
I think if you're a short-term thinker, you're going to pull back. But I think if you know what good business looks like, you're going to lean into your people who are marginalized. You're going to make sure that you commit to DEI, that you commit to your leaders, and you show up and continue to drive the impact that we all talked about the last couple of years.
Yeah.
There is no better time to invest in DEI, to invest in the women in your organization, and to learn more about Chief.
Yeah, I think it's going on the offense. Because I think the people who commit now will accelerate out of whatever we're calling this thing, not the R word.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, that was delightful. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me. You want to
great
time
to be
travel
here.
out of here?
Yeah, I think so.
Let's
Thank
do
you,
it.
guys.
Thank you.